Hello everyone, welcome to another Music Talk Tuesday. I apologize this video had to be delayed. Unfortunately, I was relatively busy and I was not able to upload videos until today, Wednesday. So without further ado though, let me address what I wanted to talk about for this Music Talk Tuesday. And since we are in the month of December, we're going to be focusing on holiday, winter, Christmassy oriented content. So feel free to offer any requests that you may have in regards to the various topics that I discuss on my channel, or whether it be a random topic. So without further ado, let me address this particular music talk. And I thought it would be interesting to focus on some instrumental holiday music. I think oftentimes a lot of people remember the songs that focus primarily on trying to be carols, people singing, along with instrumental. And oftentimes I think the instrumental, although it is very prevalent, it still kind of gets, I think, sometimes maybe overlooked or is not as much of an investment. And so I thought it would be interesting to sort of explore some stuff that I think is fairly relevant, especially around this time of year. Starting off with The Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy by none other than Tchaikovsky from the Nutcracker. What I think is great about this particular piece, and why I think it encapsulates a lot of things that we would oftentimes associate with around this time of year, is that there's a lot of magic and sort of wonder kind of surrounding this song. You do feel that there's a certain essence there that resembles something of, maybe at a certain point mystery and intrigue, but at the same time it's kind of very almost awe-inspiring at the same time. You feel like that there's this certain amount of energy that it gives off that resembles those various things that you would come to imagine around this time of year, whether it be maybe even snow falling, or whether it be, the Christmas tree all lit up or something of that nature. Even though, again, this musical piece is largely focused on none other than the Sugar Plum Fairy, again, it has various different other connotations to it that I think can oftentimes be associated for around this time of year. And since the Nutcracker is a piece that does take place around Christmas time, it only makes sense that Tchaikovsky would try to capture, I think, that essence fully. And I really do see that carried throughout this song. And it is a little bit more calm and peaceful at times. And other times bursts of energy just flow through. But again, that sort of whimsy, the magic is, I think, really relevant and present throughout. And I think ultimately works to the song's advantage to create something that we would oftentimes maybe even feel around this time of year. Second song that I wanted to briefly mention is O Tannenbaum by Vince Guaraldi Trio. And this is from the Peanuts, actually. They had a whole soundtrack, at least instrumental soundtrack, that they did for the Christmas special. O Tannenbaum, in case anybody's unfamiliar with, is the German version of O Christmas Tree. So think of the song O Christmas Tree and think of either O Tannenbaum, and those two might ring a bell, depending on which language you're more familiar with. What I find, though, great about this instrumental piece is it drifts away and enhances the original song, actually. Instead of just going straight for the actual song, it kind of just does its own thing, but still, again, resembles the essence of the song, which is there and present and relevant, but mixes it up a bit. You really do feel the piano really playing, like it's like flowing. It's not restricted to a certain uh, musical sheet, so to speak. It does really feel like that they try to create their own unique spin on the whole song itself. And what's also, I think, great about this particular song is not only is it peaceful and relaxing, but it also feels fairly festive in a way. It's almost like you could play this song um, during a family get together or some kind of holiday party. It just gives off a very relaxing but yet kind of engaging energy, almost like the song kind of, you can imagine yourself in your mind, somebody kind of, just talking with somebody else, or just some kind of activity going on, even though the song within itself is fairly calm for the most part. So I think that's also something that's important to note, and I think was what makes it, again, the more enjoyable to listen to. Third song that I wanted to briefly mention is Winter from the Four Seasons by Antonio Vivaldi. Now, I did mention Vivaldi a while back when I was discussing some of my favorite classical artists, and I did mention that I really enjoyed the Four Seasons, and I did definitely want to focus on, in particular, Winter, because again, Vivaldi has this whole section of the whole Four Seasons that again is devoted to winter, and it's the same for all the other seasons. Um, and I think offers a very interesting perspective of this time of year, in particular winter, because again, December is really the month when winter does kick in. Supposedly we're supposed to have an El Nino in California, but I don't even know if that's going to happen anymore. But regardless, Vivaldi, I think, captures something very interesting when it comes to the whole season of winter, because throughout the entire piece, you really do feel the intensity, and also the beauty. Um, and again, there's this sort of build to things. Um, and at the same time, there is kind of relaxing moments as well. But again, when those moments shift to from a intense moment to a relaxing moment, you feel kind of like that's somewhat resemblance onto winter, because winter is a very chaotic uh, time of year, especially considering the fact that throughout the world there's all of this snow, and there is a lot of just uh, more there's just a lot of things that again don't uh, that are designed to be a little bit more on the kind of sometimes even grimmer side, I'd say, at points, because again, you don't have the leaves, you just have, again, snow, and everything is cold and wet and sometimes even grim, so to speak. But then there are points where it's relatively relaxing, and the snow is maybe not that intense, and um, the travel is not as burdensome. So again, I think it sort of, I think, reflects onto winter fairly well by showcasing its nature. Excuse me. That's designed to again be on the very either fairly intense side, to where it kind of builds up into again sort of creating a very cold environment, but then at the same time it also has this relaxing uh, feel to it, where sometimes the snow is again not too intense, and everything's a little bit more on the calmer side, and even some people might even think too of just sitting by the fire and enjoying themselves and not having to go outside. So it provides that it provides sort of two, I guess you could say, extremes in a sense. So I think that's really reflected well in this piece. At least that's how I felt the intentions really were behind it. Again, I'm sure there's others who may think differently than what I do when it comes to this particular piece. I mean, it's sort of hard to interpret because, again, there's no lyrics and there's no real description to anything. It just describes winter. Some people obviously might have captured winter differently than Vivaldi, but I think overall he seems to, get the images and the feeling across, I think, fairly well, or at least paint pictures into people's minds that I think can be somewhat relatable to this time of year. Second to last song that I wanted to briefly discuss is one that is also from the Nutcracker, and this particular is the Nutcracker theme by none other than Tchaikovsky. What I think really works in particular with this instrumental piece is the fact that, again, it sort of encapsulates a sense of winter. Very interesting. Disney actually used this portion of this particular song for their piece where they were showing these sort of, I guess you could say, fairies sort of changing the weather basically to winter weather. So, in other words, making everything ice and snow. And again, I think that's just something that is just, it just seems like that's what it is, sort of expresses with the way in which it sounds. And what I think is also great too is that there's also this sort of beauty and intensity as well that's somewhat also exhibited again with Vivaldi's piece as well. You know, you really do feel the energy just flow through, and I think it ultimately works to this particular piece's advantage. Now, I can also see too why this again relates to the Nutcracker, and hence it's the Nutcracker theme. But at the same time, I think what's great in particular about the Nutcracker is just how you can take a lot of Tchaikovsky's brilliant music and you can kind of create your own interesting kind of identity from it that's, again, somewhat related to what was initially presented with Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker. And that's obviously seen through the piece in Fantasia. Last song I want to briefly mention is another one that is actually from the Peanuts Christmas special, and that's Christmas Time Is Here. And again, this is by the same people, Vince Guaraldi Trio. And what I think is, again, it does sort of a similar thing to the previous Peanuts song that I mentioned, where it takes the instrumentals and it just kind of plays around with them and makes a whole kind of unique and interesting interpretation of the song Christmas Time Is Here. But it's also, I think, interesting because instead of this sort of being a song where, you know, you can kind of, it's kind of like that, you know, sort of background sort of festivity music. This one, I think, seems to be a bit more on the reflective side. Like, you're thinking about what went on around this time of year. You're absorbing all of the things that occurred within the year, and you're kind of taking everything in. And, you know, you're really taking the things that are within your mind and within your psyche and trying to understand them. And I think, again, that is sort of reflective onto at least what was going on within the Charlie Brown short. And is, again, I think something that is more of designed to be sort of a self-reflection and not so much just, you know, just everybody kind of get together and have a little fun kind of and relaxing kind of feel. You know, it's more of a I'm relaxing. I'm in a state of self-awareness and I'm thinking about something, you know, and I'm really absorbing what occurred around this time of year. So again, that's also what I think makes it also so really great, and what makes it actually unique as well. But those are all the songs that I wanted to discuss for this Music Talk Tuesday. I'll be sure to put all the links below in the description so that you may enjoy all of the music. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant holiday season, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.